Hi, everybody. It's Carol Clark here, back with another episode of Build the Weight Loss Practice of Your Dreams. And also back by popular demand is Lindsay Satterfield of Satterfield and Company. And she is here to talk with us a bit about staying productive during this very trying and difficult time. And so today we're going to be talking a little bit about how you can remain productive, when your hours are limited, perhaps, when your staff may be working remotely or limited hours, and also how to stay productive when your surgeries are being postponed, some of your programs with patients are being postponed. There's so many variables affecting our productivity, not to mention the least of another one would be just our whole emotional impact at this time and how it can affect our productivity. So today we're going to talk all things productivity in this situation, and hopefully you guys remember Lindsay. I know she was very well received on a previous episode, and she also runs a group called Productivity Power. So she's been really involved at this time with her own clients and with other clients. So I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay and have her share with us just a few pearls of knowledge and information of how we can help navigate. I was telling her a little bit about in bariatrics right now, there is a wide range of things going on. Number one, in nearly every state, all elective procedures, all elective surgeries are canceled. So bariatric surgeons have basically had the brakes put on, for good reason, their ability to perform cases. So then their offices are seeing less patients. We're being restricted by who we can bring into the office. And by the same token, we have, bariatricians, people out there in the medical profession who are trying to all of a sudden pivot to, doing more things online, as we all are. So she is the expert on this, and I'm going to let her share with us a few ideas of how to better navigate this and how to really kind of stay positive during this whole period of time.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be back here again. Who knew, under such unusual circumstances? Just a few, I don't know, it was a couple of months ago that we met, and life was going down one road, and all of a sudden we're all working from home and life is very different. So talk about the need to pivot and learn the skill of pivoting. We're all in that. And one of the things is it's not a matter, as you've probably discovered, it's not a matter of taking your laptop home and plugging it in and kind of business as usual for, just based on what Carol said and just the work that you all do. It's upended, it's actually physically changed. So it isn't a matter of business as usual. We also have other competing circumstances, like if you have small kids at home and everyone is under the same roof, which we may not be used to. So there's a lot going on that we have to cope with. So one of the first things that I've been telling my clients is, and don't take this wrong, but to change your expectations and maybe lower them a little bit. Because I think there's this, if you think we're going to just shift it all home and it's going to be just the same, it's just not. So we want to be very deliberate and conscious about that. Now, one of the things I think first off is to look at some kind of pivot plan. And I know Carol's been talking about this as well, of looking at how do you transition. So I've been just recommending a really simple process of just getting that list out of all the things that your business, your practice was doing, like all the activities, just a brainstorm list, and then create a chart, which is continue, pause, and add. So some of you may be thinking about pivoting into some other services, maybe services to educate or prepare future patients or clients, or to support past patients or clients or current patients or clients. So there may be some pieces that you're adding as you're shifting away and pausing other things. So I call this a pivot plan. It's really helpful. And I think it just sets the groundwork. And I would look at being not super ambitious, but quite focused. So here's the opportunity as I see it in this time. It's a hard time for many, many people. And it's also where this constraint happens. This outside constraint is happening, it is the birth of innovation. It is where we start to see what's important on every level, and also where there are opportunities to innovate where we might not have looked into before. So that's where the pivot plan can be really useful. Come up with a couple key goals or objectives for, let's say, 60 or 90 days.
Right.
And one of them may be, and I was speaking with Carol prior to our recording, and she's been talking about this as well, is thinking about the ramp back up into when your practice is open and you're receiving all those patients, that is going to be an effort that you want to run smoothly too, and you might want to be putting some thought to that. So, and on the team front, depending on the configuration of your team, you can then actually sort of recalibrate who's focused on what, because there's certain roles that aren't happening, I imagine, in your practice. And yet those skills may be very useful and have a lot of tacit knowledge to be able to build your plan back into practice and things like that. So create real clear goals, communicate them really well, use video conference tools because you can see each other. This is one of the challenges of leading a team remotely, is because it's so easy, out of sight, out of mind. One of the things that's interesting is there's been studies about, we tend to trust and rely on and all those things, people who are in closer proximity, that we see and interact with. So what does that mean when you have a team that is dispersed? So one little tip on that is to create a team chart for yourself and get pictures of everybody and put their pictures, have the whole, your whole team there with their smiling faces, and so that you have them top of mind about how you're interacting with them, have a plan for each person in terms of how you're going to interact with them. And then do it. Then go ahead and make sure that you're communicating effectively to your group and keeping the culture strong. So I'm going to take a big breath and see if there's anything you want to, dig into a little bit more, Carol, or any other.
I was going to say, the pivot, I think, is really important. I like your idea about the chart, and really looking through sort of what's been working well, what's not been working well, that you might, this is a great time to kind of eliminate some of that. And then what is it that you want to add in? I know as I've been working with practices, a lot of them want to add in additional revenue streams, or they want to really fine tune their patient flow process. The other thing that people are talking about is how to, really, I've been helping a lot of people figure out, what is my online strategy? Do I have an online strategy? I've always avoided social media, but maybe now's the time for me to learn that. So that is actually some great ideas. I know you're not a clinical psychologist necessarily, but there are many teams, and I know I'm in the trenches just like a lot of the people listening to the podcast, where we have a team that we adore and we have a really strong working relationship, but yet some people may have been laid off, others have reduced hours. And while the majority of team members have really taken this, they understand what's going on, but it really does create a barrier to keeping that camaraderie together, especially if you're only working reduced hours. I know when we're only open here a couple days a week now, as opposed to 5 or 6 days a week because of our retail store. But when people come in that morning, it's almost like they're just hungry to see each other, and you still grieve for the people who aren't here because they potentially are totally laid off. So any other helpful things in terms of keeping your team motivated and, keeping them up. So that we all know this is short-lived, but it doesn't feel short-lived.
It doesn't feel it. Yeah, I think it's really important. The culture piece is so important during this time, especially. And I think as a leader, the most important thing is to connect human to human at this time, and to really understand the circumstances that the people that are working for you are laboring under. They may have little kids under 3 years old that are needing their attention, or they're homeschooling, or they're, there's other kinds of stressors. And I think an opportunity to come together, have opportunities where people can come together that isn't necessarily work related, that is, have lunch together, or come together and, or also meet one-on-one and just find out how people are doing. Let people, check in about how they're doing when you are doing team meetings. Have a quick check-in. It could be as simple as, give me one word of how it's going right now. It doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be hard things. It doesn't have to be deep conversations all the time, but giving space for the fact that people are experiencing lots of challenging things, in this time. And to connect there first. And then I think giving people a sense of purpose and mission really is motivating. It really helps uplift. We've been wanting to do this one thing in our practice, and now here's our chance. We're going to go for it. I was just in one of my webinar that I'm doing on working from home. There was a lawyer in the practice, and they're not in court. And he's used to being in court every day, and that kind of organized his day. And so he and his partners are all doing lots of video, and they're getting their social media game going, as you said. So, even if we just dwell on kind of the focus of the loss, I think we have to acknowledge things aren't normal right now. We have to give a sense of excitement in the present and hope for the future as much as we can. Moving forward, but definitely connecting in with people. And there's also different tools you can use. Like there's a tool called Marco Polo. I mean, I don't know how much people want to get into different tools at this time, but why not experiment? Doing video chat can be fun, so you're working on a project, instead of just sending a chat or an email, because have so many emails now we're reading all day, to send a quick video chat through a tool like Marco Polo or Loom. Those tools allow you to just say, hey, I had a question about this. What do you think? And come back and you see the person, and that just makes a difference. Or it's a great way, maybe just depending on the circumstance, and every circumstance is different, maybe even your extended team, some of whom may have had to be laid off during this time. Maybe you have a group, a Marco Polo group, which you can create, which is video chat, and you can kind of connect to each other on a personal basis, just to see how people are doing.
Oh, that's awesome. Is that like a free app? I guess that's
I'm pretty sure it is free. I actually don't know. I've used it free, so I think the basic plan is free. It's really fun. And Loom is also cool. It's a cool tool, even, to think about I heard about it because somebody was who teaches writing was use it as a way of coaching, and her coachees had questions, how she would get back to them personally. And that's also a way you could think about patient education that way. These little Loom videos that you send through an email, and you could do one video for a certain topic and then send them out. And they're very personal, they're informal, but they can provide great information.
Right, because right now, not only engagement with your team, but engagement with our patients who,
exactly.
I said this tongue-in-cheek earlier and in one of my other trainings, but, this pandemic is not curing obesity.
Right.
In fact, they're at higher risk. And how many memes have you seen out there of people who's, like, my pants aren't
eating.
I'm out of my routine. I haven't been able to keep my fitness up, all those sorts of things. And so I love what you're saying, because it would help.
You could provide a coaching service even, and I do think, in that pivot plan, it's really looking at your practice or business and saying, how can I serve, particularly with these conditions? Like, what's going on for people? And that's where the innovation can happen, in my mind, that you would never think of in any other, like you're just in your routine. And the other thing that I would say is that this is an opportunity for us to really explore what it takes to be productive, to be a high-performing team. All those things are still on the table. And because everything has been kind of upended, we're not in these sort of ruts or habits that we're not even aware that we do. And we can actually hone our skill right now. And I think we have to do that in order to be positive and move forward in a positive way. Otherwise, we're trying to make something that doesn't exist, that's out of our control, in our control. And that's the other thing that I would say is, helping people with their mindset and knowing what it is that you can control and what you can't control. So even on a team, for you all to, everyone on your team to kind of have their list of, these are the things I can control and these are the things that I can't control. And let's keep refocusing on where we can control.
Right. I really like that, because that helps keep us sane.
Yes.
And it also can help make things less overwhelming.
Yep.
And I guess then the other piece to that is how to, how to remain optimistic for our future, rather than, feeling depressed about what's going on. How to
or stuck. Yeah. Because even when you're talking about, what you were just saying about these practices, I think that if you can reconnect to meaning, and remember, maybe from my last session, I'm sure I mentioned about motivation being driven by two big levers, which are meaning and control. So if you can kind of repurpose your meaning, like, wow, this is an opportunity to really help people who are under their own constraints and under their own unique kinds of pressures. How can we help them navigate this time? You're reconnecting to the meaning of your practice to begin with, right? And then doing things that actually have impact, which up-level your motivation.
Right. So you were mentioning that meaningfulness and then control.
Like where can I have some impact,
Right.
What, and for me as a productivity coach, I pivoted towards, working from home. Like, what are people up to, and how are we doing it during this very tumultuous time? Because that's where the people that I work with were at, and I needed to pivot there, and that gives me a sense of meaning and impact. I can't go to an in-person training right now or lead a conference. So it's that flexibility, and I think what will come, hopefully what will come out of all of this, and a lot of suffering and difficulty, but also looking at what capacity can we build in terms of our agility as a practice, our agility as a business, and our capacity to really learn new things in order to be innovative during this time.
Right. And things that will then be able to be solid strategy for the future. Because I think
that's so important, is that how do you ramp back in, and not just, none of us will be the same after this experience globally, and so we want to take the best of what we're discovering right now about ourselves, about our families, about our businesses, about our practice, and use that to elevate, to be more ready, to be more service oriented in whatever it is that we do.
Right. And I don't know your opinion, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but we're in a service organization or service, industry. So providing that service is really helpful. But the other thing is financially, whether or not it's okay to still promote your services and your products. I think people sometimes struggle with that, because you want to do good. You want to be that driving force, but by the same token, I know we've been able to balance that a little bit, because we still have retail sales that people are interested in. And then we were able to take, we already had created online programs. And so quickly pivoting, taking those online programs and really reducing the price to something, really, really affordable, so people can focus on something positive. But it still involves our time. So it still, is one of those things that is still okay to do. And
I think we have to be realistic about that. And it sounds like, that's what you've done. I think it's important to have balance of saying, where can I provide really accessible help, sort of immediate help in some way that's, is relevant for my business or practice. And then look at opportunities that people I likely will want to invest in, So being sensitive to the time that it is, but recognizing that the service that we provide and the ability for you to be there ongoing, to provide the services ongoing that they need. I think everyone's very sensitive to the fact that I know that I am, and I'm sure other people are towards us, that businesses still need, to have revenue in order to
Yeah.
exist, in order to serve, that's not a secret. I know I have a very creative hairstylist who put together color kits for everybody. And I went to her house. She had it outside on her porch. I picked it up, and when I was paying her through PayPal, I gave her a tip because I'm like, yes, right on. I need you to be there when we're all allowed to see each other. My hair will need it.
So,
So,
gosh, huh?
yeah. So I think people are sensitive to that and not, provide a true service and value it appropriately. But I think everyone's sensitive to the fact that revenue is how we're able to continue to serve.
Right. I totally agree. And I think, like we started this whole conversation out, innovation really comes from these situations. So whenever, you're uncertain, that's when innovation comes about. So
Yeah, I
how
think so many
creative of
people.
your hairstylist.
I know, isn't it cool? Yeah, I have my little packet with all the little materials, and she did a video to show us how to do our hair color and all of
Oh,
that.
is it specifically because she already had your card, so she's got your
Yes.
color?
Yeah, so I have two colors. I have to mix them a certain amount. It's all specialized, and yeah. And she then did the video to show us how to do it, and yeah, super creative. And let me
Oh.
tell you how happy I was to pay her for that.
Yeah, see, I know. And plus, we adore. I mean, you guys out there listening to this might not appreciate that as much, but that's,
Right. Well, you'll hear about it probably. So,
yeah. I'm gonna have to tell my hairstylist. So that's really,
yeah, it's a cool thing. But all of that, that's innovation. And
yeah,
there's just so many, I think it is an opportunity, as hard as it is. I just think we have to see it that way and know that together we really will get through all of these things. And I think, I can see this in my own business. I've seen some things happen that are really positive that would have never happened
right,
had I not been willing to not just like take my toys and go home and tell me when this is over, but
right.
really wanted to stay relevant in the game and play.
And yeah, and make a difference,
Yeah.
now and in the future. So these have been great tips. I really appreciate your time. I love the fact that, as practices and as businesses, we're looking at what you can do versus what you can't do. And that's
Right.
what's going to keep us with some forward momentum and also, help prepare us to be stronger on the other side of this. So you
And just
really
one
helped
last
us.
little
Yeah.
note is priorities make such a difference right now. So, come up with your couple things that you're really going to hone and tighten up and go for, and
Mhm.
keep speaking about those, because that can create this sense of momentum, impact, motivation, meaning, all those things that will help us get through this process.
Right, right. Good advice.
Priorities are important, and this is definitely a time when we all are looking at what is important, like what is really important.
Great advice. The other thing we talked about a little bit is the fact that keeping yourself a priority at this time is
Yes,
really
in fact,
important.
that's the way I built my whole my work from home webinar. Is you have to look at yourself, taking care of yourself first, then
Mhm.
your household and your family, right? Those things have to be in place,
Yeah,
and then you're able to really be free to work from home, because it's an unusual circumstance. And if you don't take care of yourself first, and it's a stressful time, there's a lot of emotion, I think,
yeah,
going through the air that we don't even realize. I know I went to the grocery store the other day, and I could just feel like, oh my gosh, and I thought I was handling everything super fine. So I think we have to be gentle with ourselves, with other people. And so, yeah, there's almost like a plan that you have to have for: how am I taking care of myself? How
Mhm.
am I taking care of my household? And then how am I taking care of my staff and my patients and clients and things like that?
Yeah. It's a lot, but
So it's
prioritizing.
layered.
I know it
And
makes
if
it
we learn
more.
this now, when we go back, we'll be even stronger. When we, and not go back, let's say go forward to all coming out together and being able to be beyond this really difficult time.
Right, right. And that prioritizing just helps keep it more manageable, more
Yep.
doable.
Yep.
So
Focused. Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Lindsay, how do people find you for some of your productivity products or tips or
Yeah, they can come to my website, lindsaysatterfield.com. There are lots of tips there. You can find me on YouTube. I do a regular Facebook Live on my Productivity Power page, and they're all posted there. Lots of different tips. So yeah, come visit me at my website.
yeah, and we'll have it in the notes below, and then also you can see it on the screen here. So very good. I know you've got to get back to things, and I do as well here at the office. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and your expertise.
My pleasure. Always fun. Always fun to chat with you.
My dear friend Lindsay Satterfield, and everybody, I hope you are faring as well as can be expected here. If you need additional help, I am working a lot with clients through my Bariatric Business Boss membership. We are doing a lot of one-on-one time. I've opened up my calendar and really focusing on what you can do today to build a stronger tomorrow. I also have a free email series, 14 Ways in 14 Days to Manage Now and Emerge Stronger. So reach out to me, Carol, Karol, at Weight Loss Practice Builder, if you want any of those free resources, and also take a look at all Lindsay's things. It's fabulous. I've known her for a long time and have a lot of respect for her and her expertise. So everybody take care until next time. Bye.
Bye.